Welcome to the Black Male Impact. Today we have as guest Mr. Aaron McNair. Mr. McNair, welcome to the Black Male Impact.
Thank you. It's an absolute honor to be here.
Man, it's a pleasure having you here. But before we get into the conversation itself, Mr. McNair is a person who empower people to change their lives. And he's also a mind and he helped them to get to that goal through mind, body, and spirit work. And he's also a master coach. But before we get into the conversation itself, if you have something else that you want to share with the listeners before we start the conversation, please do, so they can get a more understanding of who you are.
Well, I have been a life coach for 4 years now. And prior to that, I was a fitness coach for 23 years. So fitness has been a huge part of my life for a very, very long time. I played so many different sports and I've competed in several as well. And the last sport that I was competing in was boxing. And then from there, it went to weight training. So my experiences as a fitness coach has led me to become a life coach, because little did I know when I was working with clients at that time, I was actually life coaching a lot of them.
Okay.
But I didn't know that at the time. But that has certainly led me to where I am now. And it is 100% clear to me that this is my purpose and my passion in life. And it gives me the utmost pleasure to be able to help people and empower them to live their absolute best life, which is why God created us. So there you have it.
Man, thanks for sharing your experience and your journey and what you have been doing to this point, especially to empower others. People always need other people to help them. And we all
Indeed.
need help from others. But
Absolutely.
once you're operating within your purpose, that's what matters most. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into the conversation itself. And I'm going to start with this question. What is the mindset that it takes to make a positive impact?
Well, I would have to say that it must begin with one's self. So if you yourself are positive in your thought process, in your actions, and very optimistic, that is what it requires to be able to inspire someone else. And it's definitely huge in your actions, because without you saying a word, that is what everyone is seeing. They see your actions. It is the fruit of your labor that everyone sees, whether they know you or not. So you yourself, if you're going to have a positive impact on someone else's life, you must first be that.
Correct.
And then you can have that. And also, if one is that way, if one is very positive, they should want and desire to spread and share that beautiful positive energy so that you can inspire someone else to be just that. And also, not only be that, but know that they can have that in their lives and that they can live that way themselves.
Man, that is well said, because I think
Thank you.
when we are on the journey to inspire others, as you said, I believe we should be what we are trying to get others to do, because it's one thing to say what we want them to do, but the message becomes even more powerful when we demonstrate what we are trying for others to accomplish. So I really appreciate that perspective, because when it comes to change and when it comes to making an impact, I think we first should be that example of what we are trying to do or help others to accomplish. So I think that in itself will help in regards to creating positive change, because it always starts with us, and we have to be willing to be that example of what we're trying for others to become. And
Absolutely.
So that leads me to my next question. And most of the conversation going forward will focus on what Black men should be doing and what we are doing to make a difference. So this question is, what advice do you have for the men listening on how they can play a role in creating positive change?
First, I'm going to say this. The most important thing is knowing that God intended for all of us, and we're specifically talking about Black men right now. God intended for all of us to live in abundance. Therefore, that's how it should be. But for you to believe that and to achieve it, you're going to have that connection to God, to source, to universe. And having the mindset of knowing, and I'm talking about zero doubts in your mind.
Correct.
Knowing how God intended and desires us to live. And God is love, and God is 1,000,000,000% positivity. Then you're going to get all of that. And when you get all of that, when you receive that deep down in your soul and your spirit, you can pass that on to everyone.
So, as you mentioned, we have to show up as how we are created. But those who can't get it, being that they have been conditioned to think otherwise, how do we get Black men in particularly to make that shift from how they have been conditioned to think of themselves, or how we can change how we have been conditioned to think of who we are?
Well, you're talking about change and you're talking about thinking.
Yeah.
And everything stems from the mind. That is everything. So you have to change the perspective of how you think and how you view things in life. And you have to change the perspective of how you see yourself. I mean, that right there is such a huge, important part of it. Because the way that you view yourself and your self-worth is going to have so much to do with how you think and what you think you deserve. So we have to change the way that these people are thinking. And then also, we have to give them a different view, meaning very clearly that more of us, we need to be seen being positive, kind, compassionate, loving, respectful, and lifting one another up, lifting up our brothers.
Right.
And if we're doing that,
Yeah.
if we're doing that in our actions, then the people that are not, the Black men that are not particularly positive in their thoughts and their actions, they will see that. And that right there becomes attractive to them. And they're going to want that. And that's exactly what we need. So therefore, we need more of us, particularly in the leader roles, being positive and talking positive to let them know that they can have that. And they should.
And I really like that perspective of demonstrating. I believe wholeheartedly the more of us are seen doing the positive things, the things that are opposite what society have created or socially constructed
Yes.
that Black men are. Once we are doing different, I think, as you mentioned, those who are not, are those who don't get it, or those who don't think it is possible.
Exactly.
Through example, through modeling what we want to see change,
Exactly.
others will take on the belief. So it goes back to, as I was asking, how can we get those who don't believe to believe? And to get them to believe is to demonstrate that, oh, we can do it. Look, I'm doing it. And because I'm doing it, you can do
So
it.
can you. Yes. Yes. And also, it is so hugely important that we give back. And that's it. That's why I'm here with you right now, because I want to give back.
Correct.
I want to help. I want to help to inspire beautiful young black men to know that they can live a life of abundance.
Correct.
I mean, I'm not any better than anyone else on this planet. And if I can be living this, because I've been so blessed, and I thank God. I've
Yeah.
been so blessed to live such an incredible, beautiful, amazing life, to have an incredible relationship with my wife. And that has all stemmed from my relationship with God. My relationship with God has made me and enabled me to be the man that I am.
And that's important as we work towards creating positive change.
Yes, sir.
Um, we have to really want to be, as you mentioned, that through your relationship with God, it helps you to show up in a different way and how you treat people.
Yes,
But,
yes.
as I listen to you, what I believe is that we have to want to be. And once we want to be, then it becomes easier for us to be who
It
we want
does.
to be.
That's
You know,
right.
so
Desire.
and as you mentioned, as when we're talking about the role of creating positive change, I think as you mentioned that we should go there and demonstrate and give back, because I think that's
Absolutely.
really important as we work towards change. We have to be willing to be out there sharing our thoughts, our knowledge, our experience, and help each other as we
Yes, sir.
go,
Absolutely.
lift as we climb, because I think that is very important.
It is. It is. And if we're doing this as we should, now I don't even want to use the word if.
Yeah,
I'm going to say as we are doing this, because that's putting things into action.
correct,
As we're doing this collectively, we're going to be able to inspire and impact a greater group.
correct.
And that's what we want, because the reason we're having this conversation is because we truly care and love our beautiful Black brothers.
Because yeah, we have to be that example. We have to show through action what we want to see
Yes,
change. Because if we don't show it and just say it, it's not going to be as impactful as we would want it to be.
it
And
will
that
not.
lead, yeah, and I think that is really important. As we
It
go
is.
forward on the journey in regards to creating the change,
Absolutely.
because we have to be that example of the change
We
we
have to
want.
be the change that we desire to see in this world.
That's right. That's it right there. Be the change we want to
That's
see
right.
in the world. And that leads me to this next question. How can we, as Black men, help to change the narrative, which, as you mentioned, be the change? But if you should focus on a narrative or a stigma or label that have been placed on us, and then how could we change that narrative from your perspective? But let me say
Time in
this.
life.
But let me
Yes.
say this, being that you did health and fitness for over 20 years. And one of
Yes.
the things that we have been hearing a lot when it comes to Black men is our health. From your perspective, do you see more Black men? And we're talking about changing the narrative. And you can also talk about different parts of the narrative when it comes to us. But in
Okay.
regards to the health, being that that's a space that you have been in.
Time, time is something that's very important. It's essential in life.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this is 2024. That's where we are now. Martin Luther King, God bless that man who has done so much for the Black community.
Yeah.
We're talking in the 60s, the 1960s. And we fast forward now to 2024. And there's still so much fighting amongst Black men, which I find utterly sad. It's important, it's so important to live in the moment. There's past, there's present, and then there's future. I also think that we have to stop allowing people to get into our minds. And what I mean by that very clearly is back in time, they used to refer to Black people as animals. And I've heard the white man this, the white man that, okay? You can't let these negative things get into your head, because if you do, they're going to affect you. Negatively, that is. So here's what's important. Here's what's hugely important. You believing in yourself, believing in your dreams, believing that you can accomplish all of these things. Being in the skin that you're in, because you happen to be born a Black man, just like I was. I don't let anything, operative word, let. I don't allow anything to affect my positive, beautiful flow in my life. Anything that's happened to me in my past, it is all back there behind me. I'm in my present moment right now, as I look forward to the future, of course, but that is not here. And God says, don't worry about tomorrow. It doesn't exist. It's not even here. You need to focus on what is present and do not allow anything that is behind you to pull you down. It's important to know of our past. It's important to have knowledge of that. And it's more important to be in the moment and to know that whatever it is that you desire for your life, you can accomplish it. Is it going to require work? Absolutely. But as I said, you can accomplish that. And listen, everything that we're talking about is mindset. Everything we're talking about. So if you believe that you can achieve it, and you block out all the noise, and you stay in this positive mindset, positive energy, it's going to happen for your life, period.
And that's a great perspective to have when it comes to changing the narrative, when it comes to becoming who we are capable of becoming. And that is to know who we are and not allow the negative things that are happening around us to take control of
Yes, sir.
how we see ourselves. Because I think we do see a lot of negative things. We do hear a lot of
We
negative
do.
things.
We do.
But as you mentioned, we have to get to the point where we take control of our mind, as we have heard that sometimes what prevents us is not that we don't have the ability, but because of what we think and who we think we are. And if we think we are inferior, if we think we are limited, if we think we can't because of where we are, we will not. And what we have to really understand that is when it comes to what's possible, there are several examples of Black men who may have started from similar background, that unfavorable background, to become successful. So the reminder that you shared, I think it is really important as we go forward, and that is regardless of the narrative that we are trying to overcome. Once we get it in our mind that it is possible, and we let that take root. And I like to tell people, if you don't believe it, say it until you do, because we always believe what we say to ourselves.
That is true. That is true. And I want to add this. We are beautiful, strong men. And you have to believe that to be able to receive it. And it's the absolute truth, man. I mean, if you look overall in any type of competition, we're either coming in first, second, or third.
That's right.
And that tells you so much. But also I have to add this, that environment is so important, because all of us are raised in different areas, and we're also raised in different homes, environments. So where you're raised, whoever the adult is in that situation, certainly has effect on your life. But at some point, we all become adults,
Mhm.
and we begin making our own decisions. So you and I are sitting here talking about positivity, and that's what these young men, that's what they truly need in their lives. So if you're bringing that type of energy, frequency, and vibrations to them, they're going to go through life and be successful and be blissfully happy. And that's what I want for them. And they can have that.
That is important. And the more we do it, the more impact we'll have. And it is something that we have to be really consistent in doing,
Indeed.
because we are competing against the negative daily. So the more we are consistent in, sharing the positive, doing the positive things, the more change we'll see. And we have to realize that to be consistent, it is something, it may require more work, but
It does.
yeah. So we have to be willing to extend ourselves, to make the impact that is necessary, knowing what it
Absolutely.
demands of us.
I got to add this to what you just said. So instead of, let's just eliminate, how about we work to completely eliminate the negative? Because if that's gone, it's all positive. Okay.
We know there are going to still be negative forces, negative
Yes.
messages, but the more we do it, because I saw this demonstration, right? So there was a glass with dark liquid in it, and it just start pouring clear liquid in it. It took a while before it becomes clear.
Right.
But we have to keep pouring and keep pouring and keep pouring. As you mentioned, we just have to keep pouring, and we just have to keep sharing the positivity within the communities, and then we'll see more change over time. It will take time.
Indeed.
But as you said, that's what we have to do, and be consistent in doing it. All right. I know that you have been in presently coaching, life coaching, to help people to become their best self. So my next question is, what or who has influenced or inspired you to pursue the path that you're on now?
Well, it's not a who, because it has been several people. And this has been over the last, I would say, 6 to 7 years. So many people have said to me, how do I stay so positive all the time? How do I keep such high energy? How do I stay happy all the time? I was getting that question over and over and over. And that's what led me to want to be a motivational speaker and be a life coach. And honestly, at first, at first I was fighting it, because I was like, I just don't have time for that. I'm focused on myself, and fitness was at the forefront at the time. And as it continued to happen, it got to this point where people were saying to me, literally saying to me, if you take what you have and bottle it up, I'll buy it.
Wow.
And that was the pivotal point for me. That is what took me to, okay, let me see how I can do this. And I started researching this online, and that's what led me to life coaching.
Okay.
And that's how I got there.
But, as you mentioned earlier, with life coaching and being a personal trainer or in athletics, you find yourself motivating people, and to get people to
Exactly.
do the stuff that you want them to do, you got to
Right.
encourage them. So just hearing your transition from being a personal trainer where you help people to become physically fit. But during that process, being an athlete myself, knowing that sometimes you need that extra encouragement. So it's almost the same thing. It's not just physical, although life coaching can still help people to help become better or stronger in the physical aspect of their lives. Because if
Indeed.
they still may want to do things and need the encouragement to do, what will help them to develop that physical strength? So, but whilst doing the life coaching, what have been the most challenging for you working with people as a life coach, help them to make that transition? What have been most challenging for you? And you also can be thinking at the same time, what have been most rewarding working with individuals, as a life coach?
Well, I would say what's most challenging is knowing where I am in my life. And let's say, as an example, on vibration frequency, on a scale from 1 to 10, the highest number would be 10, right?
Yeah.
And if we're saying that, I would put myself at, I don't know, 100 or 1,000. And so I'm working with these people to bring them to a 10 because I want them at the highest place in their life. And what has been the biggest challenge is moving forward and then going backwards.
Okay.
That's the biggest challenge, because if you're continuously moving forward, we're going to get to 10 much faster. If you're going forward and then going backwards, it's going to take us more time to get there. My desire for the people that I've worked with is I want them to live in total bliss. I want them to be healthy and happy and strong mentally, physically, spiritually. And when I'm working with them, they want that for their lives as well. It's not just me.
Correct.
And it all requires work, and it requires you to be consistent in the work that you're doing for your life. That is how change happens. And that is how you continue to elevate in your life.
I think, and it is with anything that we do. The consistency is important, and
Absolutely.
that willingness to do the work
The work.
necessary. And from a Black male perspective, there's still work that we need to do. We have to be willing to do it, and we have to be
Yes.
consistent. And if we want to see the change, and I strongly believe change when it comes to where we want to go, we need to be at the forefront of that change.
Yes.
And that will definitely require us to be consistent in whatever we choose to do.
Yes.
So I know, when people working on their lives, I think, it can be challenging because some people don't see change immediately.
Immediately.
Because they don't see change immediately, they start to get frustrated.
Yes,
But,
this is true.
as
This is
a
very true.
reminder to everyone that's listening, change takes time.
It
And we
does.
have to be willing to push through the discomfort as we press forward towards the
Yes, sir.
change we want to see. And that leads me to my
Let
next
me
question.
let me
Oh,
add
go
one
ahead.
more thing before the next question. Is you were asking about the rewards and how I feel working
Okay.
with my clients. It gives me the greatest joy to see these people become happier and healthier in their lives. And I'm so grateful and thankful to be a part of that. It means everything to me.
That's right. The goal is to see change. And once we
Yes,
can help other people, I think that's the greatest reward. A lot of times we think it's the money that we get, but when
right.
we see the change,
That's the greatest.
man, that's really rewarding. So I appreciate you sharing that, because
Absolutely.
a lot of us are on the journey of making an impact and want to see change. So that's something that all of us who are on the journey to inspire others do think about at times, or want to see especially in those we are working with.
I want to add one more thing,
Yes.
because you were talking about the fitness side and the life coaching side. I feel that the life coaching side is more important. And the reason I say that is because you're dealing with the mind.
Okay.
And that is where everything stems from.
Yeah, I strongly believe that. So that leads me to my next question. What is your perspective on the current climate of Black men in society today?
For years, that is, we have been pit against one another, and that is on purpose. Let me clearly say that. So, with that being said, we're like in this constant competition with one another, and that should never exist. It should never exist. If I have a friend who's a Black friend and he's my brother and he's my friend, I want this guy to be as successful and happy as possible. I mean, I want the absolute best of everything for his life. I'm never putting myself in any type of competition with him. This person is my friend. They do what they do. I do what I do. And we both have each other's best interests at heart. And that's how we have to be with one another. And one of the hugest problems is we're not. We're not like that with each other. And it's really freaking sad, man. I swear that we're all not so loving and considerate and uplifting and inspiring and encouraging each other. I mean, this world is ginormous. This is a great big world, and it's room enough for all of us to do what we want and all of us to be successful at all of it. But there's going to be an issue, and there is, because we're fighting with each other and pulling on each other because you don't want to see the other man elevate because you're not. And that's not right.
Man, and that's a topic in itself when it comes to us and comes to success. I heard a Black male shared the same sentiment yesterday via some platform on the social media platform. And he was saying what we don't realize is if one Black male or Black person elevates, it makes it easier for us to elevate. But the more we try to pull the person back, the less of us will achieve success. And that's one thing that we have to get out of our minds. We have to realize that we cannot and should not be the one to pull each other back. We already have all those different things happening that are not really in our favor. So with that knowing, our knowledge, we should have a strong desire to uplift each other. So as we talk about the perspective of the current climate, I think that is something that we have to talk about a lot until more of us realize the importance of helping, uplifting, and cheering and encouraging each other. And that is something that we have to do in action, not talking, because we see a lot of different content posts about working together, but we're not doing it as much as we are sharing it. We have to do it and create platforms to highlight other people, other Black males in particularly, and highlight what they're doing until we change how we are perceived, not just for us, but for the collective, for everyone else that are not Black, because we have to change the perception because we have been conditioned to see ourselves in a certain way. The world
Yes.
has been conditioned to see ourselves in a certain way.
And that is exactly what I was going to say. And in order for us to change the perspective of how others see us, we're going to have to change the perspective as to how we see ourselves.
Correct.
It has to start there first. And as we are becoming more successful, we should open doors for others and
Correct.
always, always give back.
Correct.
Because you know what? Someone helped you when you were younger. I know that happened for me.
Correct.
I was helped when I was younger. You have to give that back.
Yeah, it's important as we go forward because, yes, we see more of us are achieving goals, more of us are making progress. But for us to really be a strong force, more of us have to be successful in a sense that not
You
success,
cut out there. I missed some of that.
yeah, not successful as individual, but successful as a collective, because we become a stronger force for
Yes, in
change.
numbers.
Yes,
Numbers.
when we are making progress together.
Let me add this, that it's so important that we are respectful of each other. And
Correct.
that is regardless of what your profession is. Be respectful and be kind to
Correct.
each other.
I
And,
think
and spread and share more brotherly love. Seriously.
I was listening to a conversation today, and the gentleman was saying the same thing. He was saying that in today's time, we should be doing better than 10 years ago. But he was saying, man, I think the love that, say 20, 30 years ago, that Black people have for each other, it's less today. That's what he was saying. Because I think once what he was saying from the perspective of coming out of being oppressed, right? The goal was for us, for as Black people, to work together to go forward. But I think from listening to him, he was saying we become more selfish, not selfless, where the goal was for the collective to make progress and not just as an individual. And so that's why he was a much older gentleman. So he kind of have maybe a little bit of the experience for 40, 50 years ago, that he realized how important it was for us to work together as a collective to move forward, being that we were just coming out of being really oppressed. And I think we have to have purpose behind what we do, because once purpose is there, it goes beyond self. And once it goes beyond self, I think we will make a greater impact. So I think that is really important, as we go forward.
I want to add this, and I just got this download. So if all of us have a close, personal, one-on-one relationship with God, source, if we all have that, we're all going to be better and behave and treat one another better because of the love of God within us. And that right there will begin changing everything, because now you're behaving entirely different.
Right.
Because now you're thinking, that's my brother. I want the best for him. Now you're putting that into your mindset. And that's changing the narrative. And let me say one more thing. If we treat everyone as if they are our best friend, everything changes, right?
Yep. Yeah, things will definitely change because how we perceive the next person will be different. And we have to develop that trust, because I think
Yes.
there's a lot of distrust amongst us
I believe that.
Based on when you hear other Black men speak, when you hear they talk about some of the things that they deal with. And that was the same thing the guy was saying yesterday when he was sharing that if one person progress, we should, cheer that person on. So
Absolutely.
we all can progress. But he was talking about it seems that there is a distrust amongst each other, and that distrust affects our progress. But it goes
Very
back
true.
to what you shared earlier, that those who are on that path have to just keep demonstrating that type of behavior, that type of perspective.
Yes.
So those who may not be thinking in that way can see through someone else how they should show up and why it's important to work as a collective as we go forward to make the progress and
Absolutely.
achieve the goals that we have for ourselves, because it's not just us. We are working diligently for the generation that's coming behind us.
Yes, sir. I want to add this. I want to say all of the Black male friends that I have, associates, and I'm talking about people that's not necessarily close to me as well.
Sure.
The love between us, that love energy, whenever I see them talk, text, it's so big and beautiful. And that is how it should be and how it has to be. It has to start being that way for all of us.
Yeah, it's important, man, that
It is.
we work together collectively. And even if we don't work with someone, let's not bring the person down. Let's not try to,
Absolutely.
because we may
Absolutely.
not be able to work with everyone, but let's not make, because we're not working with someone, we try to prevent them from achieving their
Yes.
goals. I think that is important. And that leads me to my next question. And we kind of touch on this whilst we're sharing the current perspective, current climate.
Yes.
What change do you want to see in general amongst Black men? I know you share several changes that can take place from working, with each other, being supportive, and just want to see each other achieve their goals. But if
Yes.
you don't mind, what change do you want to see in general and amongst Black men?
Well, I will say this first. This is the first thing I'm going to say because we touched on health and fitness earlier. It's easier and don't have to put so much thought into the health and fitness when you're younger. Okay.
Correct.
I'm in my 50s and I'm extremely fit. That's because I have been consistent in my training and taking care of my health and my nutrition. And I've seen so many mature age Black men. And I say mature age because I don't use the word OLD. I don't use that word.
Right.
They're aging up and they're getting OLD because they're not taking care of their health.
Correct.
So I would like to see that change. And more importantly, I would love to see, and I need to see this. This is why we're here. The growth of love between us. Love, respect, kindness, peace. That's what I want to see between us. I want us to be happy for our brothers when they're more successful. Because when you send out those type of vibes and energy,
Right.
believe that it comes back to you. That's what I want to see.
Man, and that's important. Love each other, respect each other, just want to see each other achieve success. I think, man,
Yes,
that will change so much
absolutely.
when it comes to us and what's possible. Because once we are respecting each other, have the love for each other, and there is not going to be a desire to hate. or
Right.
be jealous of the next
Exactly.
person.
There would be no reason to be. And I have to add this, the way that other people perceive us would completely change. Completely.
Man, that is, I was telling someone yesterday that at the gym, that when it comes to our goals and what we want to achieve, whatever we're doing,
Yes.
if we want other people to support what we're doing, we need to support what we're doing.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
important because let's not solely depend on other people to support us. We need to support what
Ourselves.
we are doing to make progress and be unapologetic for one about it.
Absolutely.
But we should demonstrate what we want others to do for us. But let's first show that amongst our group
Yes,
because as you mentioned, it changed the perception of others of us.
it does. What is coming to mind right now is to be bold and to be beautiful. And people that are beautiful, and I am referring to their inner, their
Yes,
spirit being, they're so attractive. And they're also spreading and sharing that human beauty.
correct. Yeah, I think it's important how we show up. It's important
It's
the
so
energy
important.
that we put forth.
Yes.
It's just important. If we're thinking about change, what we do is important, and what we do definitely stem from how we feel about
Mhm.
ourselves and what we think is possible and what we think we can do. Because we're not going to do more than what we feel within ourselves.
Right.
That's just what happened.
True.
I know when people, just as how they say, man, why do you, or how do you find the time to do what you are doing, right?
Mhm.
You find the time because that's who you are. That's what you
That's
choose
who I am. Exactly.
to do. So it's going to come from within you because
Mhm.
that's what you chooses to do. And that leads me to this question. What was a pivotal moment in your life?
I had to really think about that question. So it will be 10 years that I have been vegan in May.
Wow.
And that made a tremendous impact on my life. I've always been one to have a big heart and to be very caring about people. That opened up my compassion, my love, and it made me more concerned and have more love and more empathy and sympathy for humanity.
Yeah.
And I have noticed also, well, this is a huge important part of this, that I would say the most important part. It it made me draw closer to God in my spiritual relationship with God. And that was the biggest thing that has come out of that. And I have noticed that through social media, a lot of Black men are vegan and vegetarian. I've noticed that from that time to now. So that was also empowering and inspiring as well. But yes, that has made a tremendous impact on myself. It's made me a much better person in terms of care and love and concern and respect for others. And also, I learned so much from that because at the time when I first began, I was being very judgmental of other people that were not. And as I grew, I thought and was thinking about I was not vegan when I was born. So I mean for myself, I, I put I put energy and I invest time into myself and in my life to continuously elevate and grow as a person because I want to be the example of a beautiful, loving, kind, compassionate, caring human. And that's the most important thing in my life.
And that's when it comes to telling people how they can be, again, it goes back to, as you shared earlier, is to be. And once you are being that which you want others to be,
Yes.
then it becomes easier for them to become because they're seeing the example through you. And then that's how change is, and that's how we should want to
It
be.
is.
If we're telling people to be kind, then we should be kind. If we're telling people to be respectful, then we should be respectful. I think,
Absolutely.
by being the example, we'll have a greater impact because even when we're not talking or sharing, because of who we are, then our presence or even in our absence, we will be that change, or people will want to make those changes because of the example. Because
Yes.
and it comes down to, if you show up a certain way, like some people, if they know that you are a person, say smoking, right? They know you as a person that don't smoke, and someone will, if they come to an environment and see you, they're going to say, you know what, Mr. McNair, I'm going to step outside because, you know what, I know you don't smoke. I'm going to, because they know that's who you are.
Mm.
So, it's important that we model that which we want others
Absolutely.
to be by
Yes.
being what we are saying to them, to, when we're thinking about change and impact. Because I think
Indeed.
that's the most powerful way of, creating the change.
Creating the change. That is correct. I want to add something to that because you were talking about smoking. So I made a decision, and I think it has been maybe 5 or 6 months now, that to completely alleviate alcohol from my body. And prior to that, I don't know, I was having a glass maybe once every 3 or 4 months. And I made that decision because alcohol alters your chemistry.
Hmm.
And I don't want that in my life.
So and again, once we make those decisions, it strengthens our will, and the stronger we get, the more we can resist the other temptations out there, other
Absolutely.
distractions out there, because the stronger we become, the less we'll be distracted by the distractions that are trying to get us off what we decide to do. But that's how it is. We have to challenge ourselves,
Yes, we do.
and then so we can become stronger as we
That's right.
continue
Be
on
more
this.
resilient.
That's right, on this journey. And that leads me to this question. What life lesson have you learned late in life that you believe is important and can benefit this current generation?
Okay, this was really, really instrumental in my life. So I began to take total control of how I allow other people and their actions affect my life. And one of the big things for me was I'm in Los Angeles. There's a lot of traffic here.
Yeah.
People often are disrespectful in their driving. And so telling myself, I'm not interested in allowing these people to upset me when they're driving. So what I decided to do was this. I said, anytime someone chooses, because they're the ones making the action,
Correct.
to be disrespectful or be crazy in their driving, I'm going to think of that person as one of my closest friends. And I'm going to tell them to be careful and to get to where you're going safely and not be moved by their behavior.
Correct.
And it has made the hugest impact in my life because I'm not getting anyone else's negative energy now.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? And
And,
that
and
has it's elevated my life more.
and once we get to the point where we don't allow what's happening outside to control how we think, and how we react to
Hmm.
life. Because there are always going to be things to get you off your positive perspective or positive mindset or positive outlook, because that's how people are. And
That's how
sometimes
people
it's
are.
not something that they are intentionally do, but we cannot allow what's happening around us. And that's a really
Correct.
great reminder for current generation and for the future generation, not
Absolutely.
to allow things happening outside of us to control how we respond to life or respond
Mhm.
to whatever is
Anything. Yes.
happening.
And I will add this. I will say, because of this, that I don't have bad days. I don't get mad. I don't have any trigger points. None of that exists in my life.
And I think, once we get to that point, we'll get more done,
Yes, absolutely.
because things are happening. And if we allow it to control how we respond, especially in a negative way, it can
Right, exactly.
spiral, and you may find yourself 1, 2 hours just be dwelling on something negative that,
Right.
one, you couldn't control it and you didn't cause it. Someone else did it.
Yes,
And it's, if you allow that to take up your mind or space in your mind, things going to happen that we
that's life.
cannot control. But to get to the point where it happens and we don't dwell on it for sometimes not only the day, sometimes 2 days, 3 days,
Yes,
then a lot of time, get wasted and nothing gets done. So it's important, and that's a great reminder, not to allow what we cannot control to
correct.
take up space in our mind, especially when it's negative.
Yes, sir. I always tell all of my clients, you do not get to control other people's decisions and actions. However, you can control how you allow it to affect your life.
All right. I think that's important and a great reminder.
Yes, sir.
So before I ask my final question, where can the listeners find you and help support your work that you're doing to make a difference?
Okay, so where do I have this? On Instagram, they can find me at AM Inspirations Guru. On LinkedIn, they can find me at AM Inspirations Life Coach. On YouTube, they can find me at AM Inspirations One. On TikTok, they can find me at AM Inspirations One. And Facebook, they can find me at AM Inspirations Life Coach.
That AM?
AM, Aaron McNair Inspirations. That's
Okay,
what that
okay,
stands for.
okay.
And that is what I'm here for, to inspire others.
And that's across all platforms, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And I will definitely share in the description ways to connect with you. So if they have more questions or want to learn more or want to become better themselves, they can reach out to you to learn more about what you're doing, and also, maybe to get help in
Yes,
regards
sir.
to becoming their best self.
Absolutely.
So I'll definitely have that in the description. So my final question is, what impact do you want to have on the world? I know you say you want to inspire, but I'll ask the question, what impact do you want to have on the world?
Well, I said to myself that the reason I became a life coach and desired to be a motivational speaker as well is because I want others to live and be as joyful and happy as I am. People have told me that I'm the happiest, most positive person they've ever met in their life. I hear that often, which, I appreciate such kind words towards myself. I know this. I know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that God has blessed and created all of us to live in abundance, and that is abundance of health and wealth. And I want people to be healthy, so that they age and mature beautifully in their health and in their physical and in their spiritual and in their mental. And this is why my perspective, my approach to life coaching is mind, body, spirit, because if you're healthy in all three of those, that's going to give you such an incredible balance in your life and enable you to blissfully and enjoy life as it was meant to be for all of us. That's my desire.
Well, and that's a great way to live, to
Yes,
help
sir.
others to become the best they can be.
Yes,
Because that's one of the the greatest contribution to humanity, and that is to help others. And if we can help others to realize what is possible and that they are created to do great and become great, man, that work in itself is like, great work. And it doesn't matter what position you hold or where you are
that's
in
right.
life, to inspire others and to make others know that more is possible. I think, living that way is just rewarding. As some people can tell you, especially those who are super successful, they will tell you when they help someone and the person express how they feel from the help.
Yes.
So to them, that experience have been more rewarding to them than the money they have. And that's when some people realize that it's living is more than money. It's the impact they have
Yes.
on
Yes.
people. But that's great, man. And it's great. The conversation itself was great. Thanks for
Thank you.
the insights and the perspective that you have shared. Because speaking from a life coach perspective, I think something that we need to be mindful of, because to tap into ourself, I think that is important, when we're thinking about change, because things are happening around us.
They
But we
are.
cannot allow what's
Yes.
happening around us to control what we think and believe about ourselves. So, Mr.
Yes.
McNair, it was a pleasure having you here on the Black Male Impact.
The pleasure is absolutely mine. And I want to leave you with this one last thing. And I want to say that my love for humanity is so big, and I want the best for every single person in existence.
Man, thank you, because it's great that we wish each other
Yes,
um,
it is.
well, because what
Always.
we think don't about our others affects us because it's in our mind.
Does. It does. And
So if we think negatively about others,
that's
that
right.
negative thought is in our mind.
It
It's
is.
important, that we think positive, because that's going to affect who we are and how we show up daily and how we treat others. Because if we're positive, we're more likely to be positive to the person, even when they're not so positive, because
That's
our
right.
mindset is positive.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes,
And
sir.
I want to tell you, Dr. Cross, thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate your time and all of your insight as well.
Man, thank you. I appreciate it. Listeners, as always, the goal is to bring guests that we believe will share knowledge, insights, and perspectives that we believe will be beneficial to all of us. Again, thanks for being here with us on the Black
Thank you.
Male Impact, where change is our goal, where positive change are inspired. Thanks for being here with us. Until next
Thank
time.
you. Ciao.